എല്ലാവർക്കും നമസ്കാരം. എന്തുകൊണ്ട് കേരളത്തിൽ വീണ്ടും ഒരു ഇടതുപക്ഷ സർക്കാർ അധികാരത്തിൽ വരണം? ഈ ചോദ്യത്തിൻ്റെ ഉത്തരത്തിലേക്ക് വിരൽ ചൂണ്ടുന്ന പ്രമുഖ വ്യക്തിത്വങ്ങളുടെ പ്രഭാഷണ പരമ്പരയാണ് ചിന്ത പബ്ലിഷേഴ്സ് സംഘടിപ്പിച്ചിട്ടുള്ളത്. ട്രൈ കോണ്ടിനെൻ്റൽ സെൻറ്റർ ഫോർ സോഷ്യൽ റിസർച്ച് സെൻറ്റർ എക്സിക്യൂട്ടീവ് ഡയറക്ടറും ലെഫ്റ്റ് ചീഫ് എഡിറ്ററുമായ വിജയപ്രസാദ്, ഏഷ്യൻ കോളേജ് ഓഫ് ജേർണലിസം ചെയർമാൻ ശശികുമാർ, ഫ്രണ്ട് ലൈൻ എഡിറ്റർ എൻ രാം, എഴുത്തുകാരനും കവിയുമായ സച്ചിദാനന്ദൻ, പീപ്പിൾസ് ഹെൽത്ത് മൂവ്മെൻറ്റ് ഗ്ലോബൽ കോർഡിനേറ്റർ ഡോക്ടർ ടി സുന്ദരരാമൻ, ഇന്ത്യൻ എൻവയോൺമെൻറ്റൽ ആക്ടിവിസ്റ്റ് ഡോക്ടർ വന്ദന ശിവ, ന്യൂസ് ക്ലിക്ക് ഫൗണ്ടർ എഡിറ്റർ പ്രബീർ പുക്കസ്തായ എന്നിവർ വിവിധ ദിവസങ്ങളിലായി പ്രഭാഷണത്തിൽ നമ്മോടൊപ്പം പങ്കുചേരുന്നുണ്ട്. എല്ലാവർക്കും ഈ പരിപാടിയിലേക്ക് സ്വാഗതം.
Compared to most of the states of India, Kerala has always had a much better health outcome and much better in its health performance. However, in recent times, Kerala has faced unique challenges in the health sector. One, it has a much more aging population than the rest of India. Almost 12.5% of the population is above 60, and of this, about 15% is above the age of 80. There are a lot of people who are now crossing 100 over there. Second, there is a huge amount of in-migration. People coming in from places where health systems have been weak and at some point requiring health care, and a large, maybe over 25 lakhs, 50 lakhs in migrant workers. And related to this, the third problem, repeated outbreaks of infectious disease. There was Nipah virus, there is the swine flu virus, there's an avian flu, and now that is COVID. Repeated outbreaks of different infectious diseases, some of it being brought in by in-migration in a major way. Our fourth and major problem is the rising cost of care. Healthcare costs, especially for the elderly, are zooming, though incomes are not going up at the same pace. And that means a much greater demand on how the government acts on this. And finally, the big challenge is, in recent times, because of the policies of the central government, states have far less money to spend. And therefore, what they can invest on health is facing a crisis. Now, that despite all these challenges, the Kerala government has done much better in its performance, even as recognized by national awards and even as known by different contemporaries, is precisely because of a very good recent track record in governance. And one of the indicators of this is, for the degree of wealthiness, how much are the health outcomes, the relationship between the wealth of a state and its health outcomes. This is known as the Preston curve. On that Preston curve, Kerala stands well above all other states, meaning for the level of GDP it has, even by international comparisons, it's doing very well. Now, I would highlight 3 or 4 major interventions of the recent left-front government that has made this possible. One is the continued emphasis that it is given to decentralization, to giving panchayats and empowering panchayats. Panchayats on an average spend 25 lakh to 1 crore more of it. All primary care centers are under their control. They raise a lot of funds to be able to spend on it. Panchayat members cutting across party lines can be deeply concerned about their health centers and work to provide supplemental staff, infrastructure, close gaps. But other than this, there is an institutional mechanism called Panchayats Writing Projects, where they apply to the state government for special priorities on which they will spend money. One such mandatory project that all panchayats have to write is in palliative care. But other than palliative care also, many panchayats put forth innovative projects that they can manage. And no doubt about this, that this decentralization has made a huge difference right now in the management of the pandemic, but all along in its much better outcomes. The second great innovation, again an international rank innovation, is its palliative care program. India simply cannot afford the high-cost approach to old age homes and structured institutions for old age care that the West adopts. We need a much more culture-friendly, economically affordable system of care for the very sick and for the very elderly. Now, Kerala's palliative care program decentralizes palliative care to the panchayat level. Now, typically, I visited one Gram Panchayat, Edavada, I think its name was, which has about 25,000 population. There are about 250 persons requiring palliative care. There is a nurse and an assistant who provides it. Who are these patients? There are 147 cancer patients, many of them in terminal conditions. There are chronic kidney disease patients or chronic dialysis or post-renal transplantation. There are patients who are just too old to be able to take care of themselves and too alone to be able to take care of themselves. And all of these people are visited regularly in a basis by these nurses, provided care at the home, and if they require hospital care, brought, escorted to the hospital, taken care of. And this is a much more affordable and humane way in which we have been able to reach out to this. It's remarkable. Therefore, when the COVID-19 first phase came and you needed to shield the vulnerable, Kerala was in a unique situation because it already knew who the vulnerable was and was already shielding them. And therefore, mortality rates have been very low. But this program has meaning in itself also. A third major feature of the Kerala program has been its unique new program under the last government called the Ardram program. Now, the Ardram program, Ardram means compassion, has many meanings, has many components. One component was to improve and build excellence into the medical colleges. A second was to bring specialty care to the district level, super specialty care at the district hospital, and at least basic specialties at the taluka hospitals, sub-divisional hospitals. Now, this is work in progress, but the very intention to do this is not common to most of the other states. In fact, most of the other states, their efforts is in privatizing the district hospital, which they do manage to hand over to private hospitals, but private hospitals equally fail in being able to provide super specialty care. So therefore, it is the government only that is able to motivate or find people that it can proactively bring and allot by different mechanisms to the district level. And that, I think, is one of the unique features, that they have strengthened and brought down this care to this level. But beyond all this, the much more remarkable work is what they have done in primary healthcare. We all know that the health outcome of a place is not so much dependent upon hospitals, but dependent upon what is done in the nature of primary care. And in primary care, if you will see that the most important element, one of the most important elements is that they have built a systematic way of bringing primary health centers under the national quality accreditation systems. Not widely enough, not all of it, but they are down that path. And there is a diffusion of such understanding across all centers. So what does this mean? It means much better management of output flow, outpatient amenities so that they are comfortable. This has led to huge increase in outpatient attendance. And it has also meant better infection control. That means the PHCs need not be shut down whenever there is an epidemic, which became very useful in the Nipah virus outbreak, and also this so that you are able to prevent hospitals acting as site of infections. Then you have much more comprehensive care. So you are not providing only care in pregnancy and only care for child health. We are also providing care for diabetes, hypertension, continued medication. There is something called the SWAS program, which addresses chronic respiratory diseases, that has been recently introduced. There has been a recent introduction of programs for mental health. So there is a conscious effort to expand the package of care that is available at the primary health center, so that at least 70% of all care needs are met at a site which is close to your home, which is the ideal under care. And this is also helped by the fact that you have a whole workforce of ASHAs in place. And in addition, you have different forms of community health volunteers who turn up, so that this bridge between the facility and the community is very well made. I don't think that any other state has this level of community engagement, starting from the panchayat to the community volunteers that are recruited and put in place. Drug logistics also has been improved considerably, and teleconsulting links between primary health centers and the district hospital has made sure that conditions like dermatology and skin diseases, you are able to get consultation and do it. The package of diagnostics available at the primary care center, point of care diagnostics has been expanded. And these diagnostics are also now regularly available across primary care center. So this is a whole package of interventions. It's not just one thing that makes primary care work. And what we really see in this is that Kerala, more than any other state, has made a very big effort in this. Now, one of the recent challenges has been COVID control. And there was a lot of concern when the second wave started happening. Because the first wave, it was accepted internationally that Kerala had done remarkably well in the control. It actually started here because there is much greater international travel and migration from Kerala. The first cases of which came from Wuhan, people were waiting in the airport for the patients or the likely patients to come before they came. Nipah, they found the second wave, they found the first case. The first wave, they found it after 20 cases or so. But here they anticipated the first case. Despite that, there was a spread, and despite that, because of very extensive contact tracing and shielding that extensive primary care system could do, they could stop it. But it could not prevent the second wave, and the second wave was a large extent inevitable as the migration of people who had migrated out from Kerala came in, and you had a difference. It is now you can see comparatively much less, because you can see that as the second wave picks up in the other states, and today India is in the grip of a second wave with 40,000 cases going. Maharashtra in a couple of days will exceed, most of the second wave states will eventually exceed its first wave. You have still, Kerala is now, as I speak today, and I hope it retains, Kerala's cases are going down. So it's not that these cases will not occur, but you are able to get on top of the problem because you have a primary care network which is up to its task. Now, Kerala has a large private sector, and that accounts for a lot of the care. It's been very difficult to move on the private sector. There has been a serious attempt for regulation of the private sector, which has to proceed slowly. The Clinical Establishments Act is in place, but implementation and rules get negotiated. But what has happened is that under the government-sponsored insurance scheme, we are able to somewhere provide more cashless service at the hospital with a better monitoring to ensure that the benefits of the insurance scheme actually reach the beneficiaries, which is difficult in a market situation. And one of the strengths of Kerala is, instead of insurance leading to more and more privatization, where more and more care passes from the public sector to the private sector, insurance has, at least in a limited way, led to a certain degree of deprivatization in the Kerala situation, leading to a greater amount of care passing from private care into public hospitals. As public hospitals pick up the quality of care, pick up and provide more comprehensive care, we can see a backward movement. Anyway, no insurance covers primary care. And primary care for the majority, especially for the poor, remains a largely public service. All of preventive care, all of promotive care remains completely government service. And if Kerala has been able to have such relatively better outcomes despite the challenges, I think it goes to the credit of the left-hand government for a completely innovative and participatory way in which they have managed their health program the previous year. Best wishes to them.